Thank you all for joining us and tuning in today. Zach Twardowski here. I'm here with Calvin Wright. Cheers. Thanks, dude, for coming in. We just wrapped up some meetings today here in Denver, and I appreciate you flying and helping us train. And it's been cool. So you said earlier today this is coming up right on a year, right?
Yeah, like dead set on a year. Like I think a year ago this month, I was at the first sales conference I've ever been to.
Awesome. And I'm looking at the numbers I have right now. So last month, you personally, let's see, let me pull yours up. Your team helped 200 families last month, and you personally helped 64. So it's come a long way from when you were just getting started trying to figure out if you want to do this full time, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
why don't you give everyone a little background as to how you got started with FFL?
It was I was unsure. Like I was in the Army for 7 years. It's the only thing I knew. I joined right out of high school. I was like pretty much 18. Didn't know what to do. Thought I was going to be a lifer in the Army, and just kind of was like lost a little bit. So I just kind of let that play its course. And then I kind of grew up a little bit and kind of figured out what I wanted to do a little bit with my life. And I thought what that looked like to me at the time, looking outside in, was like, hey, I'm gonna get a great 9 to 5. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have all this time on the weekends to hang out with my buddies. Life's gonna be great. I'm gonna make a killing. And I got out of the military, went to a corporate job at a production facility, thinking this was gonna be like the best thing ever. Was working like a second shift job, like pretty much worked out after tax and everything, making less than what I was making in the Army anyways. So I was like, well, this is not great at all. This is actually worse. Like, what am I doing? And I could have just stayed in. It would have been all right. And so I called you up. I remember it pretty clearly. I was like, hey, I'm like kind of in a pickle. These guys moved me out here. I'm like on a contract with them. I'm going to owe them a bunch of money if I leave early. Like, can you help me? And then, we kind of like talked about it and figured out a great game plan. And what that looked like for me was, taking 2 weeks PTO, kind of give myself a buffer, back myself up into a corner, and going out there and trying to serve and protect these families to kind of work myself out of that situation and be where I wanted to be in life.
Yeah, and you spent, like you said, you spent 7 years in the military, so thank you for your service. We all appreciate it. And thank God there's people like you that do that sort of stuff, because it makes it possible for the rest of us to do what we do. So you spent 7 years doing that, and there's a big transition to corporate America. I remember right when you got out of the military, we talked, and then you decided not to work with us initially.
Yeah, I was like kind of worried. I was like so worried about having like a salary.
Yeah. So I guess like now that you've been doing this for a year, like what would you tell yourself then? And this is for me to learn too. Like what would you tell yourself then that would have helped you understand to do this, the right way?
Honestly, I think like a lot we talked about today is like if you don't learn those, like you would never know if you didn't learn those hard lessons. And so what it was for me is I guess I needed like a little bit of to be uncomfortable in something I didn't like to do, which was working in that production facility. Like I just thought it was gonna be great and it wasn't. So that kind of like gave my I opened up my peripheral vision, So it kind of allowed me to see like a little bit wider view and kind of see what's out there, and like not knowing this we talked a little bit, but I didn't understand it. And then when I was like, because I was so used to getting paid by the military, no matter what happened, no matter what I did, it was a guaranteed paycheck, unless you did something bad, obviously. But I didn't understand how much opportunity was here and how much you could actually control of your life, your financial situation, take control of your time, which is like honestly the most valuable thing to me personally.
Yeah, and that's also my fault because I'm just a bad recruiter. But that's okay, because you could build a pretty big business if you're a bad recruiter and you just stay in front of people and keep doing the same thing and stay consistent with it, right? So I guess, and you started doing this, and you started doing pretty well, and you always worked hard. You always ran a lot of appointments. And I remember like talking to you, you're like, I've been through a lot harder stuff in the military than this, right?
Yeah.
Like you went to Ranger school. You've been where all were you deployed in the military?
I did a couple of rotations to Korea and Kosovo, and then all throughout Europe. Throughout like the 7 years I was in, I've been to like 16 different countries and kind of like saw the world and for what it had, and in different places what people live, and it was just like an eye-opening experience. But I didn't know like once you see that those people out there, you kind of like take everything for granted a little bit, and it kind of changes your perspective on how great we have it here.
Right, because you see all different parts of the world that are not as far along as we are in America, right?
Yeah, people living in shacks and stuff like that.
Does that help you when you're in the field and you have like a bad day and you're like, well, I helped 7 families yesterday and I had a bad day. Oh yeah, and people live in shacks and there's like war-torn countries.
Yeah, and it's really easy to get in your head here, because it's like dialing and stuff. So it's you have to like really like look inside you and figure out like, hey, like you're dialing the phone. Like they could hang up on you, but they're not gonna like reach the phone and like, do something crazy. Like you're calling someone because they asked for your help. So how hard is it? It's definitely takes time and effort, and you get better over time. But and that's one thing that you helped me tremendously with, like, over the time, is like, dude, get out of your head, get out of your ego. Like you need to put that aside and actually go out there and help some people.
Yeah, one of the hardest things I think for people to understand in business, and just I think even in life in general, but especially in business, is actually doesn't work as well in life in general. But in business, it's if you can't take anything personally, and you can't get emotional about anything. Like something happened, and it's just like a big chess game. You just have to react to it. But what happens a lot of times is something negative happens, someone gets mad or sad or angry, and I did the same thing for a long time, and it still happens sometimes. Like I definitely still do, and I try not to. But you have to learn, like, okay, this thing happened. Like, how do I, react to it? Can I control it? And if I'm not able to control it, dude, what am I worrying about it for? I can't control it, so I might as well let it go. And if it's something I had control over, or could have changed, or can still change, I'll go fix it, or I can learn from it, right? So it's like, what do we do now? We just learn from it and move on, right?
And I think that's the great part about FFL in general, is like there's so many people with so many different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know how to figure out a situation, there's always someone to call, no matter what industry you're in. And it kind of helps you evaluate the situation correctly, and you're not making rash decisions.
Yeah. So you were in 16 different countries. What's a story you could share with us real quick that's PG? That like, what are the coolest stories you had from your time in the military? I'm just curious now.
Coolest story. Oh, I think the coolest story ever, like I probably like take it to my grave, is I had recently graduated Ranger School. And for you who don't know, like there's like a 50% retention. It's like very few. Like in my MOS at the time, there was like 60 when I graduated out of like 20,000, and it's like it was like a really large accomplishment. So I got rewarded for that, and it was right around like April had graduated, and D-Day was coming up. And for all you don't know, it's like a huge World War II commemoration, and they do this like cool jump with like the Germans and the French and all these different NATO allies. And they sent me to France for like 2 weeks to do like some handshakes and meet the people and like show the respect. And then I got to actually participate in a jump in France on D-Day in foreign soil with a German parachute and on German aircraft with people speaking German.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a totally different experience, not like anything we trained for. And it was just like a super cool thing at the end, because you hit the drop zone, it looks like you can picture it like on a movie or something like that. And then they have all these like World War II guys and veterans and girls and just people out there. And I go turn my parachute, and this guy is sitting there with like his old uniform on, like drinking a flask, smoking a cigar, like looking all cool. And he's like, yeah, and you can't communicate. I don't know how to speak German. He's like, just take some, and it took some, and it was just like a cool opportunity. And then the Germans come by and pin you with some foreign jump wings, and it was just like a really like warm, full heart moment for me.
That's cool. Yeah, and then because how long was Ranger School?
It's supposed to be 60 days long. Most people have to redo multiple phases, and it's just like probably like one of the most grueling things that you can go through. That's like they limit your food, sleep, all type of physical and mental challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I don't know how it is now, but that's when I went through, and it's just at the end you get a Ranger tab, and it's kind of like you're like qualified to like train soldiers and just like a pride thing. It's a long lineage of like cool individuals, I would say. It's a club.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a very exclusive club, right? That's pretty cool. So
like integrity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, way harder than getting to integrity for sure. So, for people like that are in the military or getting out of the military, why does this job make sense for you? Because you obviously love it and are passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
Both like the selling and the hire and the recruiting side of it. So why do you think it's such a good fit for at least some people that are getting out of the military?
Honestly, I think this is like a great fit for people coming out of the military, because the structure is already in place. So everybody in the military is so used to waking up to going to PT, going to work, working throughout the day, getting miscellaneous tasks, going home. Like there's like all these different tasks and leadership and structures built into the military that teaches you how to be disciplined, teaches you how to get stuff done without complaining, teaches you how to like just accomplish small things that you don't think that you could have, and it empowers you. So the cool thing about FFL is we have all these great systems already in place. We already have a ton of people knowing how to do it in different walks of life. And that's kind of what the military is like, people from every walk of life, rich, poor, no mom, dad, that kind of thing. So you get a mix of great individuals working together to accomplish one main mission. And that's what the military is. And it's the same exact structure here. So you come here, you get licensed, you get trained, you get and you get rolling in the field. And if you just relate what you learned in the military to this profession, I think that like you're already setting yourself up for success. Like you should be disciplined enough to know what you need to do and listen to what people are telling you and take that constructive feedback and apply it.
Right. And I remember when you were starting, you were like, I'm just going to treat it just like you're one of my superiors in the military, and whatever you tell me to do, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Right.
Yeah, we started executing.
You start executing, right? And it's like, do I always know the answers? No, but I'll figure it out if I don't know. I'll ask Sean or Andrew or Mark or someone else who's further along. If I don't have the answer, I'm not going to pretend to know. I'll figure it out, and we'll roll from there, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, cool. So if someone's watching, they're like, I really like to work with Calvin. I have military experience or something along those lines. What's your phone number or and Instagram so they can get a hold of you?
My phone number is 970-314-4037. And my Instagram is Calvin Wright with 2 T's at the end, just regular spelling. And then if you actually don't want to do either of those, you just want to email me privately, that's totally fine. It's calvin.wright@fflforefront.com.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Calvin, Hall of Fame producer, helping 50, 60, 70 families a month. And dude, just honored to be in business with you. And we've got a lot of big things